All right, hello and welcome to the video. My name is Wade Smith, and I'm mostly going to focus on the same motion in Seisan Kata, which will beat just about anybody in a fight for various reasons. All right, so in Seisan Kata, you step out to the right, and then you have this. You step forward with your left in like a circular half moon step, and that ties into judo and combat jujitsu is how I was taught to do this. And so, but you step with like a half crescent moon step, and then you block here, and then you punch. All right, looks pretty basic, right? Pretty basic. Okay, but this is actually somewhat of an advanced concept that I'm going to give you the short cliff notes on, right? Like I did in a couple other videos. So suppose my opponent is punching with their right straight punch, all right, whether it's a boxer straight punch or whether it's an Isshinryu straight punch or whether it's a hook punch. It doesn't really matter what type of punch it is, but it's just their right hand punch. All right. You're going to block with both bones of your forearm. Don't do a Shotokan block like that or like that. You will break your own arm. All right. Because that's only one bone, and you're going to break either your radius or your ulna if you block with like a Shotokan block. So block with both bones and the meat of your forearm. All right. Then once you absorb most of the blow, or deflect most of the blow rather, you're going to go ahead and grapple. All right, pretty basic stuff. So let's say if it's their right, then I'm on the inside of their guard, right? So my right cross comes into their solar plexus as I pull their arm down to my hip. I've got front arm control, and I just punched through their body. Understand? All right, I'm literally going to try to break their spine by punching them in the solar plexus. Is how hard I want to hit them and how hard I want to penetrate through their body. Understand? You're not punching at their stomach, because if you just punch at me, you're never going to hurt me. Even though I'm 43 years old and out of shape, you're never going to hurt me. All right, especially not since I understand Seisan Kata breathing mechanics. All right, so you grapple and you punch through your target all in one motion. All right, and I just threw the perfect punch, which starts at the ball of your foot and travels through your hip and shoulder all at once. And I punch with a vertical fist because I was shown that a vertical fist aligns the muscles and bones in your body. The twist in the twist punch actually misaligns the muscles and bones. The only real advantage of the twist punch is that your shoulder ends up slightly farther forward, which may protect your jaw in the case of your opponent counterpunching you. That's one advantage that I have to admit the twist punch does have. But for speed and power, the vertical fist punch has been shown with video evidence to be faster and more powerful than the twist punch because there's no wasted motion in it. All right. So that's if you're on the inside. Say if he threw a right punch. What if he throws his left and I still want to block with my left hand? But that's actually even better. If he throws his left, I'm going to block this way. I'm going to step to the side and block and grapple his punch and get sidearm control that way. And then I'm going to punch him, bam, right under his left armpit, right here. And I'm going to try to punch clear through his rib cage and puncture his lungs and heart with his own ribs, is how hard I want to hit right there. So when he punches, I'm in an orthodox stance, all right? When he punches and I see it coming, I'm going to step to the side, I'm going to grapple, and I'm going to counter punch to the face perhaps, and then I'm going to counter punch under the armpit as hard as I can, like I'm trying to kill the guy, because if you're in a street fight, you might need to kill this guy or maim him just to have a chance against the second or third attacker, right? So we're going to drill it like that. We're going to drill it that we step to the side, perhaps at a 45-degree angle, or to just, you need the art of understanding that you can't follow it rigidly. You might want to get to a full 45-degree angle evade. You might want to just evade sideways because that's all the time you have by the time you realize the punch is coming, and you want to quickly pin it to your center of gravity along your waist once you catch their punch. Don't hold it out here like WWE numbskulls. Pin it to your waist at your center of gravity and punch them in the face, and then punch them as hard as you can. Remember, you got them pinned like so, all right? So their weapon, their nearest weapon is over here. They can't even reach you. They might, if they're really good at kicking, they might try to roundhouse kick you with their left leg, but it's pretty simple for you, having sidearm control, to leg check that. Understand? See, it's pretty easy to leg check that. All right. So once you get sidearm control, so we're going to slip that punch and we're going to grapple it, punch them in the face, rear back from the hip, and throw everything you got into their freaking rib cage in a vertical fist punch under the left armpit, right where the left lung and the heart are. And we're literally trying to puncture the lung and the heart with their own ribs when their ribs break, is how hard we want to hit them. All right. That's for street self-defense. It probably needs to be banned somehow in MMA, because that could kill the guy right there on the mat, or leave him with a punctured lung in 6 months to a year or two, breathing out of a tube. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how to deal with that for MMA, because I've never seen anybody do it in MMA, but it probably falls under the intentionally injuring your opponent rule. So probably don't do that in an MMA match or whatever. But if you're ever in a street self-defense scenario and need to dispatch your first opponent and you've already parried to the outside, don't hesitate to punch into the rib cage and puncture their lungs. All right. Punching is, just like anything else, it's about 50% art and experience and talent, and about 50% science. So your right cross does not start in your elbow, and it doesn't start in your shoulder either. It doesn't even start in your hip. It starts at the ball of your right foot. Okay. A good Seisan or guard stance, your feet are about 1.5 to 1.25 shoulder widths apart. And your rear foot the toes of your rear foot are about aligned with the heel of your front foot. I'm not down in this ridiculously deep Shotokan front stance or reverse stance. I can't stand those stances. They're way too deep for someone like me to kick out of. And when I punch, I want to be able to step forward and deliver the punch if I need to. I can't step forward out of a front stance where I'm already halfway spread out to my maximum stride. Now, can I? That doesn't make any sense. So fighting in a natural guard or Seisan stance, hips slightly twisted, shoulders slightly twisted, left elbow protecting your rib cage, high enough to block, though. Understand? Right elbow protecting your liver, also high enough to block. All right? So when their punch comes in, same deal. Evade. You can punch. You can back fist. You can punch under the rib cage. You can punch completely under the ribs into their kidney with like either a straight punch or an uppercut to the kidney. All right. Just depends on the art of what where their other weapons are. Where's their leg? Did they try to leg check as you? Did they try to block with their leg? Something like that. Because if they're down here like this, when you get sidearm control on them, they're going to try to block with their leg because that's the only thing they've got. They're going to try to block with this arm, either here for their face or here for their body. So what you got then is you can then get them in some kind of cross arm wrist lock like this, where you get a front wrist lock on this hand and sidearm control on this arm, and then they're pretty well screwed, aren't they? Then I can do whatever I want to with my kicks. But if they block with their hand high or low, you get them into a cross arm wrist lock, and then they're screwed. All right. So, and again, don't tell me this can't be done by a fit fighter, because when I was 185 pounds and 20 years old, I used to do this to second-degree black belts, ex-Marines, and other second-degree black belts and third-degree black belts. So I know it can be done. Other potential applications of Seisan. Well, see, we have similar motions in different katas, like different or the same motion ends up in different katas. For example, in Sanchin, there is the double palm heel, okay? And one of them is high and the other one can be, groin level. And you grab them by the groin, like I said, throw them over your shoulder. Their head will be at your feet. Cross heel stomp kick them in the head to finish them off. Okay? That grab under the groin is also, I believe, in either Wansu or Chinto. And there's another one that may even be in Kuzan. So it appears in other katas. Put it that way. And so you just have to learn to apply your kata. And I can do it left-handed, and I can do it right-handed, and I can do it different ways. All right. It's about like the 5-sword counterattack combo, okay, which comes from American Kenpo karate, which we practiced and incorporated into Isshinryu. So they're throwing a right hook punch. You're going to step in and double chop block. You're going to block on this part of their arm as hard as you can with that on hand, and then your right is going to block up here as hard as you can, right dead center of the biceps. Hit it as hard as you can. There's a nerve group there that's going to deaden their arm at the very least, okay, when they're throwing their hook punch at you. So you're going to step in, double chop block, pow, pow, uppercut, back fist, hammer fist, hammer fist. And then, so you're going to be from, your standing guard position. But let's say it's a street fight happening and you don't even know you're under attack yet. But as you realize you're under attack, you start to step back. Then they throw their punch. Because, you're going to be less aggressive because you don't want to fight yet, right? We're going to try not to get in a fight. So you're going to step back, and it just looks like a natural motion, like you're just avoiding the fight. But let's say they're aggressive and they still want to attack. Then you step in, double chop block, hammer fist, palm heel, uppercut under the ribs, hammer fist to the temples. Okay? So let's see that in a little bit faster motion. Okay? So Nat Hearn's making fun of combos and stuff like that we practice in the dojo. This is the best thing we've come up with for teaching white belts is this and what we call sword of destruction for self-defense. Because we want our one-stripe white belts to be able to win a self-defense situation. By the time they've been there a month, they ought to be able to be better than an unskilled fighter. By the time they earn one stripe, we want them to be able to win a self-defense situation against an unskilled attacker. And they haven't gotten good enough to learn Sanchin and Seisan yet because they got to learn all the basics first before we can teach them Sanchin and Seisan. But we have 15 basic hand movements in its basic hand movements and 15 basic leg kicks and knee strikes in Isshinryu Karate. In addition to teaching them all of the basic stances. Let's see, we've got a Seisan stance, we got a Naihanchi stance, we got a Seiunchin stance, which I'm pretty sure most styles have the Seiunchin or something similar to it. We've got a cat stance, and we've got a T stance. And we've got a cross stance, which is a transitional stance, which means you're generally going to be kicking. You're starting to kick from the cross stance, and you're only there for like one frame on an action movie is how long you should stay in a cross stance. No longer than that, please. You'll get beat. It's a transitional stance. You don't fight out of it. All right. So when you're moving to the right, you're going to step with your right. You're not going to step. Oh, sure as hell do not step over your right using your left. That is the worst possible footwork mistake. I mean, if you have to, sometimes you can get away with stepping behind your right. Like if I had a second attacker coming from over there, I could step behind my right into a cross stance and then throw a back angle kick in that direction, which is the second most powerful kick the human body can generate as a back angle kick, full back being the strongest possible. So I could back angle kick the second attacker if they're approaching me. Okay, at the same time that I'm evading this guy and maybe even grabbing him and using his body as a fulcrum to get a stronger back angle kick off of. Okay, that's one of the secrets to beating multiple attackers. When the first attacker throws a punch, you evade, you grab him, you back fist him, you knee strike him with one of your legs. The other guy's coming at you. Oh God, I grabbed this dude's head and I move his body between me and the second attacker. All right, I can knee strike him. Bam! I've got him upside down at this point anyway. I can knee strike him in the back of the head while I'm keeping my hand over his eyes so he can't even see what's going on. All right? And at that point, Sensei's going to call it and say, stop, yame, yame. Okay? Because I'm going to kill this dude even in practice. But in a street fight, if I have multiple attackers, when I get sidearm control, I'm going to grab this dude by his face, not his mouth, because you'll get your hands bit off, but by the top of his forehead and his eyes, and pull his face down into the back of his head, down into my knee. Something like that. And I'm going to get his body between me and the second attacker, and I'm just going to knee strike him in the back of the head over and over again until he falls unconscious on the ground. And then it's a one-on-one fight. That's how you win a one-on-two. Break it down into 2 fights. It's not a one-on-one and another one-on-one, but you try to simplify it so that it becomes a one-on-one followed by another one-on-one. Okay? Understand? And that's still a Seisan concept. All right? Remember, Seisan, a lot of the first half of the kata is redundant. You're just doing the same motion in different directions. All right? All right? So that's just teaching you that there's things you can do against multiple opponents. But then it gets more advanced. It's got like this motion where you're blocking and stepping back into a cat stance. And you can, what this is actually doing is you're blocking a high grab, and then you're stepping back into a cat stance. And then the opponent has thrown a straight kick, and you stepped so far back that you evaded, and you catch the straight kick out of the air. This is a little hard to see, so my hands are artificially high. Let me change my camera angle a little bit. So you catch the straight kick out of the air here, and let's say it's their right straight kick. So then your hand is on the inside of the ball of their foot and the outside of the heel, and then you go like that, and it dislocates their hip by twisting their foot out until it's just going to rip their hip and knee completely out of socket. Okay? And that is doable. Believe me, if you have that done to you, even half to 3/4 force, you're going to start tapping immediately. You will tap before you even hit the ground, but you're going to hit the ground just from losing your balance. Is how hard it's going to hurt. It's going to make your other leg buckle. All right, and that's all Seisan kata. Okay, remember, this motion is in Seisan. Let's say they're grabbing me like this. I'm going to break the grab and step back, break the kick that's coming in, because what they were doing is trying to clinch and kick, and then they decided to go ahead and kick anyway, right? So I'm breaking the clinch, and then I'm catching the kick, and then I'm breaking their heel. All right, that's Seisan Bunkai. Some of the most important and intermediate to advanced Seisan Bunkai moves. And I realize I touched on the diagonal evade or the side evade here because you can also apply a windmill block to do it. But getting sidearm control with a windmill block is the first step to winning a 1-on-2 handicap match, such as a real street self-defense situation. And also, if you're dojo or gym that you're practicing, I don't care if you are a pro fighter. If you call yourself a pro fighter, you need to practice multi-attack drills just so you don't get beat up by 2 or 3 badasses that want to gang up on you and see if they can beat a pro fighter. Understand? The better you are at fighting, the more you actually need multi-attack drills in case 2 or 3 badasses do it just for the meanness of it. All right? So someone like Sean Strickland or Israel Adesanya should be practicing multi-attack drills, even though that doesn't apply to a 1-on-1 pro cage match. Understand? All right, let me go ahead and end the video. This is one of the longest videos I've made recently. And I hope I didn't get too redundant with this. And I hope somebody watches this and learns something useful from this.